come from. The truth is an irony, just like animal farm. Justice mean inequity, so who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Christian can say silence, Islamic leaders silence, kings and queens silence, traditional leaders silence. So who go say the truth? We are them go so confused the call. Now by area why no better. We are them go so confused the call. One guy's out here why no better. Who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Oh, he need it now, see what I see so. Now your friend and I ain't come at them. Only papi obeka na sembia. So I want to obet you too. Everybody was afraid. And when Tina Nantuma caught it here, nine. Once my boy dumping one and I see. But who go tell the truth? Nanai or say me. Nanso bien person beka wasam because everybody is afraid. Anya safwe muayini. Aku drop on yina danima. And who go say the truth? Obiaja konson so to grow Germansa to me be a cacobrafo. Efo anyina ye. Efo. When you know ye. Na so kutrata down na so be dia back or why no keke. I fene for be man mo pia for efo e. Ne cross on my mo. Anya safwe mo ayini. Akuku drop for you na dalima. And who go say the truth? Abaya di bote chino. Yedi bi bebo nyande bi. Kachi se udi oma upipi numa. Would your mind never shine my frafonsa? But who go tell the truth? TUC silence. Even journalists silence. So then who go say the truth? Right is right. Wrong is wrong, no matter how you justify. You say you wanna get rid of corruption. Someone want to help you. Now the person become your target. Jobless no they mean senseless. Poverty no they mean useless. One day them go resist.
Hello, good evening, wonderful people, and welcome to yet another edition of MyView show here live on Today Ghana News TV. And as we say every week, this is the only show where every Monday evening, we do well to bring you the best socio-political discussion as it pertains to Ghana. And sometimes, as you may know, beyond Ghana to Africa, and sometimes we discuss global events as well. And in keeping sync with our theme for this year, since the year started, we have said that our theme for the year has been to focus more on politics. More on politics because, as we said, in Africa, lots of countries are having elections this year. But more importantly, in Ghana, which seems to be the country of our specialization, this year is an election year, which means that a tough decision will have to be made as to who gets to lead the country for the next 4 years, starting January 2025. And so this is why this is very important to us, and that is why we have decided to use the whole of this year to focus more on elections and to focus on the events that surround that whole topic in general. So since this year started, we have tried to bring you as many guests as possible to discuss politics. We have had members of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, come here on several occasions to try and tell us what they have to offer Ghanaians. A few weeks ago, we tried to bring members of the CPP, but as you may know, technology was not our friend, and that show was we were unable to continue with that show. And this week, we are having members of the New Patriotic Party join us today to try and share with us their ideas. And as we usually say, our duty and our mandate this year is to ensure that come December 7th, when you walk into that election booth to go and cast your vote, you do so based on information and not based on trivial matters that would not have an impact on your life. And that is why we do well to bring you people who can give you as much information as possible. And like we always say, here we may not have the expertise of answering the questions that are important to you. What we do know is to ask the questions. And what we do know is to bring you the people who are capable of answering the questions that we are going to ask on your behalf so that they can answer them to the best of your satisfaction. So today, we are joined by our friends, as I said from the beginning, our friends from the New Patriotic Party. Well, also members of the diaspora, but they are joining us to discuss matters concerning the New Patriotic Party and as it relates to elections. So today, we are going to be joined by Dr. Mashood Abongo and Mr. George Adonu. Well, Dr. Abongo is the chairman of the New Patriotic Party Russia branch, and Mr. Adonu is the vice chair of the NPP Russia branch. We'll come back to our guests shortly so that we start our conversation. But before we come back to them, we would like to say a warm welcome to our viewers and listeners. We would like to say a very warm welcome to our listeners on Sakina Information Center who joined us totally. Also, would like to say welcome to our listeners on High FM 93.7 in Achunhima in the Eastern region. And also would like to say a warm welcome to our listeners on the King's Radio in Accra, and to all our viewers and listeners who are joining us on all social media platforms, on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Twitch, on Instagram, and also on LinkedIn and other networks as you may be joining us. You are welcome to today's edition of MyView show, where we will be discussing matters pertaining to NPP today. So, let's start with Dr. Abongo. Doc.
Yeah, Mr. Albert.
Good evening to you.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Albert.
And how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great, Mr. Albert. I'm doing great. Let me use this opportunity to greet our presidential candidate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and also extend my greetings to our president, Nana Akufo-Addo, and all the diaspora, NPP diaspora, and Ghanaians. Let me also extend greetings to Mr. Eddie, our director, our technical director, and my second vice, George Adonu.
Well, yeah, yeah. So we see we respond to all of that, and we say a very big thank you to you for joining us today, and for agreeing to share your time with us and to share some information with our listeners and viewers. your party, New Patriotic Party, let me ask, just for the sake of curiosity, the NPP does not contest for elections in Russia, does it?
No, it doesn't contest Russian election in Russia.
So
But
then,
then,
why is it necessary for us to have NPP in Russia?
yes, because Ghanaians contribute a lot. Ghanaians diaspora, they contribute a lot back home. And as we always say, we are now in the global village. Once we are in the global village, that means the world has become a small continent. I always say, I'm from the northern region. But anytime I go to Ghana, traveling from the north, especially Bolga to Accra, I spend about 16 hours. But then in Russia here, traveling back to Ghana, I spent 10 hours. So that means my journey traveling back to Ghana is even shorter than someone even in Ghana. So the global village is just the same thing I say. And at the same time, you should also know that the government or Ghana have passed a law, which is the ROPA, Representative of People Amendments Law, that will allow Ghanaians outside the country to vote. So if Ghanaians outside the country are supposed to vote, then the stakeholders that would allow this policy or this law to work will be Ghanaians abroad. So therefore, it is very important for Ghanaians in the diaspora or in Russia to have NPP. And at the same time, Albert, you are in Ghana, and we have some students. We have TESCOM in Ghana. We have student politics in Ghana. And every year we have a lot of students coming to Russia to study. They don't have the opportunity to have that political experience. Therefore, if there is a branch here, they'll have that kind of feelings. They'll have that, what is political party. They'll have that kind of leadership skills. So it is not just only for Ghana, but also benefit to the Ghanaians abroad, because we have some culture and some skills and some leadership skills that we will learn here and will apply it in Ghana. So it's both the benefit of the individual and also to the benefit of Ghanaians back in Ghana.
Dr. Abongo, you just touched on something. So I'll ask you the question. Don't respond to it. Hold on to it. I would go back and touch base with George and come back to you. But I'll ask you the question. So put a pin to it.
Okay.
You said when you are going to Russia from Ghana, you take 10 hours. But when you are traveling from Accra to the north, you take about 16 hours, you said?
Yes.
And so maybe the question people will be asking is, okay, so your party have been governing Ghana for the past close to 8 years. Why haven't you made this possible? So put a pin to it. We'll come back and deal with it subsequently, maybe as the show progresses. But there's not a time for it yet. So let's go and have Mr. George Edunu join us.
Yes.
George, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I believe you're also doing well as well.
I'm trying my best. And you're also in Russia, right?
Yes, I'm in Russia. I'm in Moscow.
What's the time now in Russia?
It's exactly 9:15 p.m. now. We are leading Ghana 3 hours. We are 3 hours ahead of Ghana. So it's now 9:15.
Yeah. And yeah, we thank you for staying up late to join us and to sacrifice your time for that. And I mean, your chairman have already told us why there's a need for your party to have a footprint in Russia. Yeah. Now, I've spoken to some members of the NDC on the same thing, people who are in the diaspora and who are also politically active. I asked them the same question, but I also ask you the same question. You people have left Ghana, sometimes to better your life. But in the course of that, what you eventually end up doing is to also better the lives of some other people in other countries, because while you are somewhere and you are working, you are contributing to their own growth. And since you are one person, that means that you are contributing to one other country to the detriment of your own country. If this is the reasoning, Why are you still interested in the affairs of Ghana? You have already laid your bed, so why don't you concentrate on where you are? Why are you interested in the affairs in Ghana?
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Albert. Let me, first of all, before I commence answering your question, let me extend my profound gratitude and greetings to His Excellency Nanado Dankwe Akufo-Addo and the Vice President and incoming President of Ghana, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, and my MP, Honorable Frank Anodonpre, the Majority Chief Whip of the Fourth Republic of Ghana. So, back to your question. I think in as much as we are here, yes, we may in a way contribute towards the economic development of Russia. But mind you, there are some sort of people, there are family members back at home who actually receive some sort of acquaintances from us. In a way, I work here. Probably, of course, I will extend some sort of funds to my family members back home. In a way, I'm helping them financially to offset some sort of expenses they may actually incur or come their way. So, in as much as we are here working together to actually improve on the economic status here, Ghana also is one thing that is actually dear to our heart that we can actually not do away with. It's a motherland. No matter what, our root is very essential and is very vital. No matter what, in a way, I'm supporting in paying bills back home. In a way, I'm supporting to put money in a friend or a family member's business. In a way, I'm also supporting somebody back home. As I'm speaking with you, there are some people. I have an NGO. I'm supporting the needy. So far as the educational needs are concerned, in a way, we are supporting all these causes. So it is expedient that though we find ourselves in a different land, yes, Ghana, our roots cannot be underplayed. It's something that is so dear to our heart, no matter where we find ourselves. It is very important as patriotic citizens of this country to actually contribute a quota in the little way we can make. That is to say, distance or wherever we find ourselves shouldn't be a huge barrier or hindrance in supporting the development of Ghana. Yes, we might not be there physically, but there are one or two ways that we actually help our siblings back home. There are one or two ways, even with some NGOs I still run way back Ghana, actually benefit from my input. So that is actually it. The country Ghana, the long and short of it, on the bottom line of it is the country Ghana is at heart. No matter where we find ourselves, it's still at heart.
Well,
yeah, so that
so
is
you are out of Ghana, but Ghana is still in you.
Exactly, it is still in the DNA.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
So I'll come back to you briefly to explore that a little bit further, but I'll go back to Dr. Abongo and then ask him this question. Yes, Ghana is dear to a lot of people's hearts, right? And more especially probably to the hearts of His Excellency the President. And so, as the first gentleman of the country, of course, he has to have Ghana at the forefront of everything. If not, then what's the point? We would try and go. This is how we are going to go about it. We would try and go back to try and start from where we started in 2017, January 2017, and then build our way to this point so that we can talk about the way forward. Yeah, so Ghana being dear to the heart of the first gentleman, His Excellency the President. In January 2017, when he assumed the mantle of governing Ghana, he said in some of his first interviews that he was a man in a hurry. And in order for him to be able to execute whatever that he wanted to do in a very timely manner, he set off to assemble the largest government that has ever governed Ghana. And he said that the wisdom of his decision at the time should be questioned at the end of his tenure, and that at the end, posterity is going to judge as to whether that decision was the right decision or not. Now, here we are in the year 2024, marching our way to his 8th year in government. Would you say, on hindsight, would you say that having that size of government was a good one?
Yeah, sorry. Thank you, Mr. Albert. And once again, I will say yes, it was a good one, and I will explain. Mr. Albert, let's see something. I'm in Russia here. Russia have about 50 ministers, right? If you go to Germany, I've lived in Germany too. Germany have about 15 federal ministers. But let's not forget, these are federal countries. And in each state, they have ministers of justice, minister of finances, minister of education. They have ministers in each state. But Ghana is not like that. The minister that we have is a republic. It's only one minister of education. So if you come back to Russia here, someone may do comparison. You say, oh, Russia, we have 50 ministers. But in the actual truth is that Russia have more than 15 ministers, because in the whole of Russian Federation, they have 15 ministers. But if you come to the state that I am currently, it's called Tver State. We have a minister of education. If you go to Moscow as a region, they have a minister of education in Moscow too. If you go to Tumen as a region, they have a minister of education too. So if you compare all the federal states, they have ministers. So if you calculate all, you can see that the ministers are, I think you are going to.
Yes, yes, Dr. Bongo. I see where you are going with that. The pushback would be that let's not compare Ghana to Russia. Let's compare Ghana to Ghana.
Okay.
So can we see that with the size of government that this government has assembled, the government has outperformed other governments that have governed the same country with less appointees?
Yes. Your question, yes. People may argue that the ministers is large, but I will argue at the negative side. It's not large. Even if you should even get 100 ministers, 1 billion ministers, 30 ministers, 30 million ministers is good for me. Mr. Albert, we are all Ghanaians, right? We are supposed to create job for each of us. If we have 20 million Ghanaians, each of them are supposed to get job doing, right? So the large ministers or the large government that the government created was to create jobs for families, was to create jobs for Ghanaians. So I want us to assess the ministers based on the portfolio, not just the large size. Did they perform? Did the ministers perform well? If they perform well, then it's good. We should even expand it to create more jobs for Ghanaians. That is what we should be looking at. We should not only look at the size, but the impact, the results. And I'll give you an example. We have Minister of Railways and we have Minister of Transport. First, it used to be only one. Now they have expanded it. Now the Minister of Railways have oversight responsibility for only the rail system. And you can see the impact that ministry have brought. Now we now have rails. We have rail lines. We have new rails that they just imported from Poland. It's working, right? And we have the transportation system too.
Yes, Dr. Abugu.
Yes, so you can see that it's not about the numbers. Let's not forget that the numbers.
Yes,
we want jobs.
Yes, so then, I mean, the question will be whether all Ghanaians can get a political appointments, but that's a different matter. The question about the rails, for instance, is the fact that after 7.5 years, we still do not have any rail line that is properly functioning. And then and the train that was imported from Poland was engaged in an accident. We can't talk about the merits and demerits of how it got involved in an accident, but that accident is costing Ghana more than $2 million So the question, then, the pushback then is performance. You said, are they performing? So that would be my overall question to you. Have the ministers, have the many appointees, have they performed? And that was the original question.
Yes, they have performed. They have performed marvelously well. And an empirical evidence is that, President Nana Akufo-Addo is in his second term, right? As compared to John Mahama, his first term. So that may be the last size of the minister that he even had from 2016 to 2020. Ghanaians still endorse him because they see the evidence. This is empirical evidence that Ghanaians endorse him. So I'm not the one to answer. The whole of Ghanaians answered that they performed marvelously well. So they gave him another 4 years to continue. And when you spoke about the train, let's all be fair. And I know you are a journalist and you know better than I do. You do a lot of research. You put your eyes in every neck and every corner. You can see that it is somebody who sabotaged the train system. How can you go and put a truck or trying to drive a truck over a railway line? It's something that is unthinkable.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that I agree with you. It's unthinkable. Yes. But I agree with you. It's unthinkable. However, there is a mechanism on the train that was meant to detect things like this. And according to the explanation from the people running who operate the rail, they decided to turn off the GPS systems that were supposed to detect this because they were going on test run. Now, the question people ask is that if you are going on a test run is supposed to test the entire system. Why turn off something that's supposed to turn off the entire system and put us in this situation where it is costing us more than $2 million? Well, to the extent that some people are out to sabotage, that's fine. Some people may be there to sabotage, but it is the duty of the people running the system to ensure that if there is sabotage does not work. So, I mean, is it fair for people to say that there was sabotage when they themselves probably were a little negligent in not preventing the sabotage, when that is the entire reason why they are there?
Yeah, I disagree with you. Just like you stated, you say it was a test run, right? And you say GPS. And you know that when you talk about GPS, it's basically internet, right? So if they're test running it, maybe they have tried with the internet and they say, okay, in case we have challenges with internet, let's put off the internet without using GPS and use manual system. And this happened. So you can't tell unless they analyze it and tell us that maybe the test system that they were running, they intentionally didn't put the GPS on. But I'm also looking at a different angle because Ghana is a country that we are still developing. We don't have satellites in the moon, or we don't have satellites in space. So we are still depending on other third parties to give a satellite. So you and I know sometimes you can face internet challenges. So they were trying to see if we don't have internet, can we still run the train? And this happens. So it is a good thing for us to understand why it happens, and we will know how to solve it.
Well, another good thing that happened, I will let you take a pause, and probably I would bring your vice so that you rest a little. Your vice would take over from there, and then we'll take over. But another good thing that we were, told when the NPP government came to power was to go around not just Ghana but the world, and to tell us that we were starting something, some kind of a crusade, and the title was Ghana Beyond Aid. And the idea was that Ghanaians, as our first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, told us that Ghanaians are capable of, Africans are capable of managing their own affairs. And so we were told this, and that it's a good thing, and that we don't need, freebies from the West or from the East. What we need is equal playing ground, and that we would be able to, manage our own affairs. Now, more than 7 years down the line, people say that we are not only not only going around asking for aid. Actually, we have taken the savings, life savings of the ordinary Ghanaian, and we've reached a point where we are unable to actually even service our external debts. On this, looking at it on a hindsight, Mr. Edunu, if you can unmute yourself, and then probably do you think that probably this campaign was a little premature, and that maybe we should have worked the ground a little before embarking on such a thing? Because on hindsight, it looks as if we have dust on our faces.
Well, thank you very much for your question. I will not side with that to say it was premature. Honestly, that was a laudable policy, or that was a laudable idea that the Kufuor-led government wanted to actually run the government beyond aid. But mind you, along the line, we were hit by a lot of unforeseen circumstances, which you can bear with me, especially with the COVID and the Russian-Ukraine war. The other day, I was listening to Dr. Stephen Amwa, the Deputy Finance Minister, who iterated that actually the idea of Ghana beyond aid was something that was that they had envisioned that it will actually come to stay, but then circumstances actually led to the need to seek for the external financial support from IMF, and which you could bear with me. There are a lot of developmental projects that are actually going on so far as the Kufuor-led government is concerned. A lot of interchanges, a lot of roads, a lot of schools that are being constructed that are still under construction, and even some that have been finished. So it is not something I would say was so premature. Of course, during a Champions era, he brought in something, Operation Feed Yourself. The idea beyond Ghana, beyond aid, was to actually come up with mechanisms where the Ghanaian economy can actually beef up in various sectors, to mention agriculture, industrial, to mention but few, so that we can actually go up so far as GDP is concerned. But then unforeseen circumstances came in along the line to jeopardize this initiative. However, notwithstanding, I would say the idea of seeking for financial support was not to actually put money in the pockets of the politicians. As I said, there are developmental projects these funds are being used for, which you can actually bear with me. So it is actually on a good course. We are still on it, doing what is supposed to be done. But then, as I said, more is expected to be done, and which we know for sure. The aid that are being released gradually to the GOG will actually be a goodwill to catapult the nation to wherever the MPP government has actually envisioned the country to be. So
now,
Ghana
Mr.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Edenu, the question that some Ghanaians ask,
okay,
when the explanation is given that some circumstances happen, is the fact that every era has circumstances that happen. In this case, it might have been Russia-Ukraine war, it might have been COVID-19. In some era, it might have been the bust in cocoa prices or gold prices. It must have been something else happened. And that the duty of government is not to explain the reasons to the citizenry. The duty of government is to solve problems, is to rise up to the challenges of the era and to solve the problems there and then, and not to explain and give reasons why the citizenry should endure what they are going through. Do you think that, like I said, on hindsight, that looking back, probably maybe, just maybe, we did not really comprehend the situation completely, and that if we had a chance to, if you had a chance to probably put things differently, you might have taken your time a little before putting out bold statements like Ghana Beyond Aid.
Well, well, taking time, as you said, this is a country that the population keeps increasing here and there. And this is a country we are aiming to actually beef up per capita income. This is a country we want to move from always seeking financial support, or probably this is a country we want to move from having a lot of import as against export. So that Ghana Beyond Aid was actually a roadmap to actually navigate the narrative of always depending on the outside world for industrialization, and also to improve on, say, other sectors like the agriculture. I see it as a roadmap, just as we have the Sustainable Development Goals of yes. So it was actually a roadmap to actually navigate Ghana to a different height, to actually move Ghana from one level to the other. So I will not say it was a one-time vision that that actually would have been done or carried out in the bloom, or just at the blink of the eye. So it was something that was actually envisioned by the government as a roadmap or as a guide, so that we can actually move from one state to the other. So the issue of it being something that was done in a haste, I will not verbatimly support that idea or that concept. But then I see it as a roadmap that was actually initiated by the NPP government to actually move Ghana to a different dimension or different realm so far as the economy is concerned. So that is actually, it was actually basically structured as a roadmap so far as the economic development of the country is concerned.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Edonu, for your eloquent response. We'll ask you to take a little breather, and we'll go back to your chairman, Dr. Adungu, for the next line of questioning. Dr. Adungu, sorry. It may look as if it may seem as though the questions are coming straight at you, but here is the reason why. In politics, people are quick to talk about the politics of incumbency advantage, but what people fail to talk about is the politics of incumbency disadvantage, because once you are governing, you can no longer talk about plans. You have had a chance to govern, so people judge you based on what you have done. So that is why we are having to face you head on, because you have had a chance to govern before, and so we will get to your plans. But before we get to your plans, we have to talk about what has happened while you have been in governance. And one of the things that actually people talk about, and it was a very topical matter over the weekend, have been things relating to power. You see, one of the things that catapulted your government, your party into government, was the power crisis that settled Ghana. And Ghanaians would famously or infamously call it Dunso. And your party rode on it a lot. And Ghanaians gave you the mandate. And as soon as your party came to power, one of the first things you complained about was excess capacity. You said the government of the day, the previous government, had committed itself to signing a lot of contracts and generating a lot of power that the country did not need, and that was draining the country's coffers, and which had landed the country in severe financial crisis. And like I always say, more than 7 years down the line, you are settled with a situation whereby you are having frequent power outages. And what really bothers those who went on demonstration was not only the fact that they had power outages, but the fact that the government seemed not to be owning up to the responsibility of dealing with it. and the government has not even given them a timetable around which they should plan their lives around, so that they can have some semblance of a normal life. Now, if the narrative that you pushed when you came to power first was that we had excess power and that was the problem, where is the excess power? Why are Ghanaians having to deal with power crisis when actually we have excess power?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Albert. Mr. Albert, it's good you asked this question. Doomsaw or light out is a very big issue that is affecting Ghana. And I would like to say Doomsaw is as a result of Ghanaians not having a long-term planning in terms of our population growth and the resources that we have, or we have to expand it. It is just when Kwame Nkrumah built the Akosombo Dam, Ghana was having a population of 10 million. That population have tripled, but we don't have any alternative to build Akosombo, or some people would say atomic energy, which is the nuclear power plant that Nkrumah wanted to build at atomic. We have neglected that. But then you mentioned something that was interesting. You said we have, when NPP came to power, they said there was excess power, right? Mm-hmm. Which is totally right. So the government have to abrogate some of the contract. And let's not forget, many energy experts have stated categorically that our issue with Doomsaw is not power, but it's finances, right? So that means if government had not abrogated some contract, we would have to find money to pay more of the contractors. So government abrogating
Dr.
those contracts, meaning that we have
Dr.
another save money.
Sorry for cutting in.
Okay.
But what we know actually is the fact that government have gone to renegotiate some of the contracts that they said had been contracted, and actually extended them. Rather than abrogating, they have actually extended them at terms that are actually worse than the original terms that we know. So we currently, as we speak, we do not have evidence to the fact that they've been abrogations. What we have is to the effect that the government have rather extended much more, lent the contracts that were ending further at worse prices. But that's not. But the other question is also to the effect that when ECG came out to explain that there was no Doomsaw, and they attributed it to some transformer issues, the evidence that eventually came out was to the effect that truly and honestly, Gridco had been given information to the effect that we have had under supply of power, and that is the reason why ECG keeps taking our power in some places. So actually, the current problem may be monetary, but it is also under generation. It may well be the case that the the monetary problems have contributed to the under generation, but we are not generating enough power as it stands to be able to take care of Ghanaians. So I wanted to bring that to your attention so that we can take it over from there.
Yes, Mr. Ahmed, it's true. See, I was answering based on the question that you asked, and you stated categorically that we are producing excess power, right? That is why the government came, and now we are underproducing power. And I'm telling you that because I know the former energy minister, Mr. Jakon, was negotiating, because some of the contract that NDC entered into was inflated. It was very, very high, double of the prices. And I and you know, we are all Ghanaians. I'm very patriotic about Ghana. And we know sometimes what some of the ministers or government appointees does, especially during NDC era. They inflate the price in such a way that they will earn extra money into their pocket. So when NPP came to power, and I always say, NPP have fought corruption very, very well more than any political party in Ghana. And I always say, if you are going to talk about moral foundation of corruption, you put NDC first, because NDC doesn't have moral foundation of corruption, but MPP have moral foundation of corruption. I always say this, and I always give empirical evidence. And if you look at the Fourth Republic, there is no any day or any year or any term that you have seen that MPP appointees have been prosecuted and sentenced to prison. But since in our Fourth Republic, I can mention over 20 NDC appointees, former ministers, who have been prosecuted for causing financial loss to the state. So this one just tells you the level of corruption in NDC as compared to MPP. This is an empirical example that I've asked most of NDC members, NDC spokesperson, NDC communicators. They can't mention one MPP member that have been found corrupted and prosecuted and have served jail term or standing prosecution. None.
Doctor, are you not? I'm sure you know what you are doing.
No, that is the truth. I'm not talking about allegations.
Yes.
I'm not talking about allegations. There are some allegations. You hear PDS, you hear SML. I'm not talking. I'm saying that those who have been prosecuted by court, because court deals with evidence and facts, and some have served prison term. That is what I'm talking about.
Yes,
maybe in the next generation that NDC may find someone to prosecute, then that so be it. Even Joshua Hamid, who was an NDC former vice presidential candidate, came as a special prosecutor. Who was he prosecuting? Mahama Yarega, NDC member. You can imagine. And at the end, he have to run away from the office. And now he's writing petition to remove someone who is even working harder than him. You can tell the level of the moral foundation of corruption in NDC. It is just in their gene.
This topic you have brought about is going to open a new kind of worms altogether. What I suspect is that we may have to have a second version of this show, because the area that the things we have to cover is a lot, and so I suspect that we may have to have another edition of the show where we can be able to delve into all of these things into detail, because we are just rushing through the topics and we're unable to get through to them. And I want us to get into another session where we can talk about the way forward. Okay. So think about this. Think about this while we take a pause, a breather, and we'll take some comments from some of our viewers. We'll come back to you. But while we are doing that, we will talk about two other things before we end the show for today. We would want to talk about 1D, 1F. You know, so think about it while we are on the pause, and while at it, you also think about what new your government is going to offer if given your party is going to offer if given the chance to govern Ghana again. So, if in case you just joined us, you are listening to MyView show here live on Today Ghana News TV, where you are joining us and we are talking about the MPP and the members of MPP Russia branch, led by the chairman, Dr. Mashood Abongo, and also Mr. George Adonu, who is also the vice chair, have joined us to enlighten us or give us an education as to things that have been happening in the MPP party and in the MPP government, and what they have to offer us. And so we say a very big thank you to our listeners who are joining us on Sakina Information Center in Tatali. And we were also saying a big thank you to all our listeners on High 3.7 in Achuhima in the Eastern region. And also a big thank you to our listeners on the Kings FM in Accra, Ghana. And also a very, very big thank you to all people all our viewers who are joining us on social media platforms, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitch, on TikTok, and on LinkedIn as well. So we take some comments from some of our viewers and listeners, and we'll get back to our guest to complete our discussion for today. So, so we are so we take over some. We take some questions. Mavis Boating, you say, good evening, comrade. You are watching live from Lisbon, Portugal. Thank you very much, Mavis, for always joining us every Monday evening to do the watching, as always. Nanata Fremu, you see, greetings from Tatali Northern Ghana Sakina Information Center. What are they coming to see after destroying our beautiful economy? Well, Nanata Fremu, I'm sure that our guests have different ideas to that. Robert Kimpi, you see, these guys are serious. We are tired of their party. And you're watching on Facebook from France, Paris, France. Thank you very much, Robert Kimpe, for always joining us. Oh, NDC, NDC, Diaspora Union, you've also joined. You are laughing. Say this serious. Abungo and his team should rather concentrate on how to survive in opposition. Greetings from Amsterdam, Holland. And you are watching on YouTube. Thank you very much, NDC Diaspora Union. Like I say, I'm sure that our guests have different ideas to that. Asempa Hinebuachi, you say you are watching and listening from Achunhima in the Eastern region. Thank you very much, Nana Asempa Hinebuachi, for joining us as always. Jefframa TV, you say you are watching from Rara in Uti region. Thank you very much for doing the watching. You say thank you for collaboration, and you are also live on our channel. Thank you very much, Jaframa TV, for the collaboration and for always streaming our programs live. Thank you very much. Kweku Ivo, you say greetings from Suhum in the Eastern region. You are already seated and you are enjoying the program. Thank you very much, Kweku Ivo, for always joining us and joining our program. We say very good evening to you. Well, Lady Mal and the Mal score 2. You say Dr. Abungu all the way, but he should be truthful to him about. But he should be truthful to him about the appointment of the ministers. You are watching on Twitch from St. Petersburg in Russia. Thank you very much, Lady Mal _2, for your comment. Sekapa family, you say you are seated attentively and are watching on YouTube from Jumapu Nyakov Radio, MPP. Never again. Well, like I say, I'm sure that our guests have different ideas. Maybe time is fast spent. We probably cannot take all our comments. Kwesi Insia, you say you are watching from Anglo Town in Radio. 24-hour economy is a game changer. From Pombafi, you say powerful question line. You are greeting us from Akuse near Sumenya. Thank you very much, from Pomba. Nyame boy, popular tea seller. You say, please, the road network in Kwanta is very bad. Please tell the government to fix it. Yes, you are a popular tea seller in Kwanta Lorry Station. The program is also live in Adelima Community Information Center in Tutukene, I think. Eugene Yabua, you say great work. Thank you very much, Eugene, for joining. Ose Superior, you say you are watching from Barcelona. You are watching quietly. Okay, continue to watch quietly. Ghana, if you say this MPP guys are trained liars. You are watching from Bososo in the Frontier South District, and you are watching and listening. Thank you very much. Fans TV, you say you are watching and listening from Aflao in the Volta region. Thank you very much for also joining us. Yes, so Cashman Edu Eji, you say the greatest mistake Ghanaians made in 2016 will never be repeated in 2004. Corruption has normalized under Nana Addo and Baumia MPP government. Cashman Edu Eji. Frima Oye, you say you are watching from Manfi near who Ghana is very hard. Thank you very much, Frima Oye, for joining us. Yes, so let's welcome our guest again as we go gradually towards the end of the program. Before we go to the end of the program, Dr. Abungu, this one that you are wearing, this chiefly dress. I hear you have some good news coming your way soon. That there's going to be an inauguration of your branch. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Abek, for giving us this opportunity. Yeah, NPP Russia has been in existence for a very, very long time, many years ago. But then, for a party to become a branch of NPP mother body, you have to inaugurate the party. And this year also being an election year, we suited the date to be this year. So we will be inaugurating our branch on the 29th of June. That is this month. And our theme for the mobilization, our theme for our inauguration is mobilization for victory, a new era, a new hope, paving the way for success in 2024 and beyond. So if you look at our theme for the inauguration, it tells you that we are going to maintain power now and beyond. And this is going to be history. For Ghana to continue in the development agenda on the general path, we have to maintain NPP into power for 25 good years. That is where Ghana will see its development into the developing level. I say so because if you look at all the countries that has been developed, people normally used to compare Ghana to Rwanda. Rwanda, Paul Kagame have been in presidency for over 20 good years. But if you look at NPP, we came Kufuor's era. I was in Ghana when Kufuor was in power. Ghana was good. Ghana was very interesting. They were even using loans to chasing us. That was the time that all private banks came to establish in Ghana. And when we asked Ghanaians to vote for NPP, they didn't vote for us, and they voted for NDC. And you see what happened. At the end of the day, they have to drive John Mahama out, and they brought Nana Akufo-Addo. So I'm asking Ghanaians, and we are asking Ghanaians, they should maintain us into power. You know, to develop Ghana, we have to have a political party that can continue for 20 good years. And that political party that can do that is NPP. I say so because I've seen NDC being into power. I cannot mention any social intervention policy that NDC have brought and Ghanaians are enjoying. But I can mention 3 social intervention policies that NPP has brought and all Ghanaians are enjoying. And each of us or all Ghanaians can testify. One is national health insurance. Every Ghanaian is enjoying. It's NPP social intervention policy. We have free SHS. Every Ghanaian is enjoying. Be your uncle, your sister, your niece is enjoying. This is NPP social intervention policy. And if you see LEAP, they used to pay money to the least poor peoples in Ghana. This is NPP social intervention policy. You cannot have NDC social intervention policy. Meanwhile, NDC claim that they are socialist political party, but they have nothing to prove. So I'm asking Ghanaians, just like our host also mentioned, 24-hour economy. NDC is saying 24-hour economy, but 24-hour is actually a product. It's not a policy. If you are talking of 24-hour economy, NPP already have that. And I'll explain. The one district, one factory are policies that will help to build the factories. And if you build those factories can now work 24 hours. And if you build those factories, you need raw materials. And how do you get raw material? You have to create farms. That is why we have planting for food and jobs. That is why at the north, we are building one village, one dam, even though we have challenges with those dams. But the idea alone tells you that this is a government that knows what it is about. It's not just about churning out slogan, 24-hour economy. When NDC doesn't have policy, how do you operate the 24-hour economy? You can't operate it in the air. You need to build industries. You need to build factories. You need to create dams so that farmers can farm and produce raw materials to feed those factories. So if we are talking of 24-hour economy, NPP have already implemented it 2016, long ago. And NDC are not making slogan. That is why they can't even explain what is 24-hour economy.
All these things you have mentioned, 1D, 1F, one district, one village, one dam, and all of those. Those are the reasons why we need to do this again. We need to bring you back on the show because we are not be able to scratch the surface of any of these things. I'll come back to you for your closing remarks. But before I do that, let me bring back Mr. Edonu. Mr. Edonu, your chairman have talked about your inauguration that's coming up. He said it's happening on the 29th of this month. Who do you expect to join? And if there are people are in Russia and around who want to be part of the program, how can they also participate? And which dignitaries do you expect to be part of the show?
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Albert. I'm just going to act as a yeast in what my chairman said. So with the inauguration, actually, we are expecting Her Excellency, the Ambassador of Ghana to Russia, Ongeneba A.A. Leslie, as our guest of honor. And then we are also expecting the current municipal chief executive of Okere constituency and the elected member of parliament, parliamentary aspirant for Okere constituency, that is Honorable Nana Addo Kenneth. He is also coming. We also have some. We will also be expecting some dignitaries from the party headquarters, and then some party faithfuls that are also within the confine of Russia. So actually, it is something that is not only open to party faithfuls that are within the jurisdiction of Russia. We are going to expect some guests from Ghana and also from the NPP headquarters to grace this inauguration. Actually, the team, as my chairman rightly said, is actually a relaying cry to all party faithful within the four corners of Russia to actually rally and unite so that we actually build a formidable NPP Russia branch here to also support the good cause of our presidential aspirant, that is His Excellency Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. So actually, currently, these are the guests we are expecting. There are more, but then I don't have the list as of now. That the few I have is what I have actually pointed out.
Is there a venue where the program is going to take place?
Yes, there is a venue that this inauguration is actually going to take place. It's going to take place at Ismailova Beta Hotel. That is actually building 2B. That is Beta Hotel. It is right here in Moscow, which is not really far from Metro Pazanskaya. Those here, they actually know what I'm talking about. So it's going to happen on the 29th, as rightly indicated by my chairman, and it starts exactly at 1 p.m. At 1 p.m. on the dot, we are expecting our guests to arrive. So it's really going to be a very awesome moment as we actually unveil NPP Russia to join the train so far as the NPP diaspora is concerned. Some few weeks ago, Costa Rica was inaugurated, and we are actually yielding to actually join the train so far as NPP diaspora is concerned. So the venue, I repeat again, is Malova Beta Hotel. It is happening on 29th June 2024 at exactly 1 p.m.
Wonderful. So thank you very much, Mr. George Edunu, for joining us for today's show. And we are grateful that you made time to stay late to be able to share this information with us. And as I was telling your chairman, we would very much like to have you some other time so that we can continue this discussion from there. Okay, right. So thank you very much, Mr. Edunu, for joining us. We go back to Dr. Abongo so that he would conclude with. He is going to wind up with us. Dr. Abongo, so on the 29th, you are having this wonderful event. You have these wonderful dignitaries, and I guess you are inviting all of us.
Yes, yeah.
Will you buy a flight ticket for me to join you?
Yes, we'll buy a flight ticket for you. Don't worry. We are young, but we'll buy a flight ticket for you to join us. We'll sponsor
you.
Yes. Anyway. Once you get your visa, you should have told us earlier on, because Russia, you need a special invitation. With that invitation, we are going to sponsor that invitation. You don't need bank statement, you get a visa. But unfortunately, that invitation have to take 3 weeks before it will be ready from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It's unfortunate that you did not inform me earlier on.
That is why after your program, we would like you to come back here so that we would not only talk about the program, but also talk about things, lots of other things, things pertaining to Ghana. Like I said, there are some lots of things you mentioned that the time of this program did not allow us to explore. We just scratched them on the surface. But after your program, we would like to have you again, and then we can be able to talk about them in detail, and also so that we can give you time so that I can rule out some of the programs that you have for Ghanaians. But in parting ways with you this evening, we have, as you can see from the comments, we're able to take all the comments, but we have comments from all over Europe and in Ghana as well. What would be your parting message to those who are watching and listening?
Yes, I would want to tell you that thank you for giving us this opportunity, and also to thank all your listeners and your viewers for spending their time listening to us. It's all about Ghana. I don't believe we are all Ghanaians. We don't have NDC Ghana, we don't have MPP Ghana. And if MPP come to power, it comes to power to rule the whole of Ghana. If NDC comes to power, it comes to power to the rule of the whole Ghana. But what I want to tell Ghanaians is that they should look at the party that has a moral foundation of corruption, and they should vote for that party. They should also look for a party that when they look at their back, look at their front, they'll say, oh, this is a party that has come and I'm benefiting from the party. Be it social intervention policy, be it subsidizing for fertilizer and school fees, it is NPP, New Patriotic Party. And as my second vice also mentioned, Bawumia is gracing our occasion. We have sent invitation to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, our General Secretary, Kudia, have also received an invitation. Our International Affairs Director have also received our invitation, and he has promised to join us inaugurate our branch come 29th. But my message to Ghanaians is that please and please and please, my fellow brothers and sisters, comrades in Ghana, Ghanaians abroad, let's remember these elections, your vote is a vote of hope. Your vote is a vote that will help you save a lot of money, right? And if you want a party that will help you save your money, it's MPP. Why do I say so? If NDC happens to come to power and you have your child in secondary school, you have your nephew in secondary school, you have your sister in secondary school, you have your cousin in secondary school, you will have to pay school fees. So can you imagine if you have to spend money every term to pay school fees? And you know Ghana, our secondary schools are boarding schools. You have to pay school fees and pay feeding fee. Currently, government is paying for these fees. That is why we have free SHS. And when they bring back fee paying, many students may not be able to go to school, and many parents will not be able to afford the school fees. Therefore, we have the number of students going to secondary school reduce, and we will have uneducated youth. And Ghana, we don't want that. Let's all remember, education is power. Let's all remember, education is wealth. So this is a policy that NPP has implemented, and I can bet with my last coin that in 20 years' time, Ghana will never be the same again. Because these youth who have gained secondary education will become so special because education is power. And we'll see the power after 20 good years. That will be the benefit of free SHS. So I'm pleading with you, my brothers and sisters in Ghana, always remember the presidential candidate that will help save Ghana is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. He's called the dignitary man. He's called the Adam Smith of Walwali. He's called the Messiah. These are the names that Ghanaians have given to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And NDC are even comparing Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to John Mahama. But let's not compare the two, because Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is a vice presidential candidate, and he's not a presidential candidate. He's a vice president, sorry. He's a vice president, and he's now a presidential candidate. While John Mahama is a one-term president, and he is currently the flag bearer of NDC. And you can't compare the two, because Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is a young, energetic man, whilst John Mahama is not a young person. And the most interesting thing is that the vice presidential candidate of NDC is also an old woman. I'm not saying she's old because she's old. No, I'm saying she's an old woman. We will all be old. But if you have a presidential candidate who has already gone to pension and go back to take a vice presidential candidate who is also a pensioner, then you can see that Ghana is not good for us. So we will need a presidential candidate who is, if he's older, then the vice president candidate should be younger. And John Mahama did not learn from history because Atamas was older, while John Mahama was younger. So when Atamas demised, John Mahama came to power. So you should be looking at leaders who think about generational thinking, who have generational thinking. So you should choose someone who's younger. So in case you are not able to last, then the young person will learn from you. But you are a president candidate, and your vice presidential candidate is even older than you. You see, even that thinking alone have even defeated NDC. So
Dr.
I'm
Bongo,
dealing with my fellow brothers and
Dr. Bongo, yes. Unfortunately, we have run terribly out of time. But I'll just like to remind you that there's only 5-year gap between Dr. Mahama and Dr. Bawumia. Mahama is 65, Dr. Bawumia is 60. So the age gap between them is not that wide.
5 years is much. You can use to give birth 2 children. You didn't give 5 years.
But thank you very much for joining us, and thank you very much for
Today Ghana News TV. We are the masters of the game.
So we would like to say a very big thank you to our guest for today, our brothers and sisters from Moscow who joined us, members of the New Patriotic Party, the NPP, who joined us. They've told us about their inauguration that's coming on the 29th of June this year. And also they have taken an opportunity of that to market themselves and to market their presidential candidate come December 7th, 2024. Well, make with it what you may. The information is out there. You know your circumstances. You know your living situation. You are the only person who can make informed decision based on what you are going through and what you are feeling and what your aspirations for are in the future. So based on that, make of the information that we have given you as you may. And that is your bona fide right. So we'd like to say a very big thank you to our guest and say a very big thank you to our listeners who joined us today. We would like to say a big thank you to our listeners on Sakina Information Center in Tatali, also to our listeners on Adelima Community Information Center, also to our guest on our listeners on High FM 93.7 in Achuhima in the Eastern region, also to our listeners on the King's Radio in Accra, Ghana, and also to all our listeners and viewers on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, and on LinkedIn and Instagram as well. We say a very big thank you to all of you. Have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your day. God bless you. God bless Ghana. Stay blessed.
The country where I come from, the truth is irony, just like animal farm. Justice mean inequity. So who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Christian can say silence. Islamic leaders silence. Kings and queens silence. Traditional leaders silence. So who go say the truth?
True, justice.